3, 2, 1. Hey friends, Janky here, and welcome back to the lab. I apologize if I sound a little out of breath. It's very warm here, and I was just doing cartwheels around my living room because I wanted to see if I could. And I'm not very good at cartwheels, but that's okay. Today, we are looking at a cool game called Vidar. This comes to us from Razbury Games. It is an action adventure RPG pixel thing. Those aren't very good descriptors, but it is a cool game. Allow me to tell you a bit about it. In the middle of a blizzard, a community's remaining citizens are forced to confront their impending deaths. Every night, a villager is killed, and the survivors are forced to alter their course in response. Every game creates a new, randomized story just for you. So I guess you could say it's like a little bit roguelite. Well, we'll get into it. But before we get into it, let me go ahead and talk about my experimental biases, shall we? Alright, so let's pull out that experimental bias board, and let me just tell you the following. First of all, I got this game free through Indie Boost, which is an awesome service. Indie Boost. And I got in contact with Razbury Games. They were super cool. They sent me a code. I was very happy about it. But I did get this game for free, which will probably affect what I have to say here today. Also, I just want to point out that I got in a couple hours of gameplay in this game. I did not complete a story yet. I haven't gotten through all the days. And there's a lot to this game that I feel like I haven't seen yet. I feel like I've seen enough of it to kind of give you an informational review here, but I don't feel like I've seen quite enough of it to be like, ooh, yes or no. But from what I've seen so far, I can say it's a yes. So anyway, I played about 2 hours, and that is something you should also know. So without further ado, let's get into the review. Shall we? We shall.
The day the stranger came to Vidar, everyone was excited. If he could find a way through the blizzard, maybe there was a chance we could escape. But the storm was too strong, and the snow was too deep. The stranger was not the savior of Vidar.
Okay, so let's get talking about Vidar, shall we? So, you may wonder why I include that little clip at the beginning of this review that I didn't talk over or anything. And that's because I wanted to set up the story of this game. Because the story of this game is a huge part of the gameplay. It's a huge focus, so I wanted to make sure to set that up, and I'm going to talk about a lot here. Because the story is one of the things that contributes to this game's replayability, which is one of the things that makes this game awesome. So, let me tell you a bit about the story. I kind of set it up a little bit in the introduction, but let me tell you more about it now. So you play as the stranger, someone who comes to this small village of Vidar. You're cold, you're tired, you're exhausted, and you kind of get the impression that there's something going on in this town, but you're not quite sure what. Everyone kind of seems a little nervous, and they kind of say, I don't know, some strange things, but you're not really sure. Well, what you come to find out is that every night there is a beast that lives in a cave outside of town that's like goes down deep into the mountain beneath the town. And this beast comes out every night and kills one townsperson. And then retreats. And then the next day it kills another, and then the next day it kills another, over and over and over. And that's the cycle for this entire game. It's just every night this beast comes out and it kills a person. Now, I didn't play far enough into the game to figure out if this beast actually exists or not. I'm going to be honest. Playing through the game, I kind of get the impression that the beast is, like, maybe it exists, but also it just kind of feels like a metaphor for grief. Because what I noticed just in my playthrough that I've been doing is all the people the beast seems to target are the ones that are grieving. So the first guy who dies, he loses his son. And then the next guy who dies was the best friend of the man who died the night before. And it just keeps going so on and so forth. And you just kind of get the impression that it's like either the beast is just some weird metaphor for their grieving, or there's it like targets them because they're grieving. It kind of reminds me of, if you ever watched Doctor Who, there was one, it's where he's on the Orient Express with Clara. It's the 12th Doctor, and there's this mummy that will kill you in like 66 seconds or something like that, or 63 seconds, and it always targets people who have some sort of illness and or like defect or something like that. And it just kind of reminds me like that, like that's what the beast latches onto. Anyway, how's this figure into the game? Well, I haven't actually proven this point, but I think you are capable of saving the townspeople. And this is how. So, after your first experience here, which is everything that's happening right now, this is all sort of like the tutorial. What you come to find from the keeper of the inn that you're staying in while you're trapped in Vidar with these townsfolk is that her father kept a journal of everyone's grievances in town. And everyone has a problem that they want you to fix. So you ask around the town, you figure out what everyone's problems are, and you try to solve them. Now, a few of them I've solved already. I haven't noticed any effect from me solving their problems, so I'm not sure. But what I think is, if you're able to help a person through their problems, you can actually save them from being killed by the beast. And I only think this because I can't imagine that the game ends with everyone in the town dying and you're just left, right? I don't know. I haven't played far enough into the game to know, which is, again, why this is mostly an informational review and not like an actual review of the game. But it's just really interesting, and I think that's why this game has replayability, because they say that every time you take an action, it affects how everybody else goes. So I don't think it's that. Maybe what it is that the characters are just killed in random orders, but I think what it is if you can save a character, then another character dies and it forms a new chain. Or you just save the person and then that creates a whole different story. So I'm not quite sure. Again, I mean, it's not like I played this game multiple times over or anything, but I think that's what's going on. So what you see here is a little bit of the gameplay going into the cave. So the cave is another really important part of this game. And that's because the cave is where basically everything happens. The cave where this beast lives. You have to keep going down into it. You have to keep solving these puzzles in the cave. And it takes you deeper. You meet ghosts who give you lore bits. You find things for people to help them solve their problems. And basically, the cave is like the key to helping the town, is to go down to the cave and like find the things that they need and bring them back up. Now you'll notice up in the right-hand corner there's that sun that's kind of in a box moving across the sky. And what that indicates is that you only have the day to spend in the cave solving puzzles. Now, after you solve a puzzle, it usually gives you like a shortcut, so you don't have to go around solving that puzzle again once you go back down into the cave. But you only have so much time to solve each puzzle before the day's up, which is it makes for a really interesting feature, because some things, like, you don't know who's going to die next, so you're really focused on like trying to get things done and like find the things that you need to find so you can keep moving on. One of the other interesting features is that every day, as each day passes and someone dies, you unlock a deeper level of the cave. So even though people are dying, you get deeper into the cave and deeper into sort of the secrets of what's going on and what's happening beneath this town and the lore of the town and all that good stuff. This just shows off the ice cave, which is the first few layers of the cave. This is, again, just sort of a tutorial level. This is a kid that you're trying to save because he ran into the cave after the beast. I'm not 100% sure. I don't think he's savable. Not to spoil what's going to happen, but I feel like it's better to spoil it than have you go into this blank slate and watch this horrifying scene like I did, which I was not expecting to happen, and it was very, very sad for me. But, like I said, so all the puzzles in the ice cave, they have to do with these sliding puzzles where you have to pull levers and like slide in certain directions and stuff. I also got deeper into the cave and found something called the dark caves. They have some stuff in them, and the dark caves also, I guess there was no way to save that kid, was there? I'm sorry, I just get so hooked up on this because this is so sad. This is such a sad, like, moment in this game. So early on, too. It's just, ugh. It's so terrible. Yep. And then every day it says the day is over and someone's died. And every time you come back up out of the cave, the day's over. Even if it's like high noon in the corner, the day is over when you come back out of the cave. But time only passes when you're in the cave. So if you're just like, if you like, always take the opportunity to walk around town before you go down into the cave. I suggest that right off the bat. But as you go deeper into the cave, the puzzles change. They do get harder. And of course, you want to try to solve them as quickly as possible. Like I said, you can only move through one room at a time per day, but you want to try to get as much done as possible because you don't want to try to be solving multiple rooms in one day because then you just end up falling behind and then, you know, you end up missing stuff and people die. But like I said, the main mechanic of the game is helping these people solve their problems. This is done through finding lore, or finding things in the cave, or even finding things around town and returning them to the people that they belong to. Just talking with everyone and everything, and any information you can get is always helpful to try to help out these people. So it's very interesting, I think. The other thing I wanted to point out on a lighter note, if you will, is how awesome the art style of this game is. So it's not too often I go in depth on the art style of games, but I absolutely love the art style of this game because it's pixel art style, which can go very wrong if you don't have a good artist. But they had an amazing artist for this game. All the details and all of the characters and the scenery and the settings, just absolutely beautiful. All the little walk animations and things, even like the shadowing, just the tiny little details were just absolutely gorgeous in this game, so I absolutely loved it. That's pretty much all I have to say about the game. There's probably other stuff that other reviewers would have covered, but again, like I said, I didn't play too much of the game so far, so I didn't want to like drop a whole bunch of stuff and then have to make some sort of retraction video later, finding, oh yeah, you can do that, or oh yeah, I guess that is a thing in the game, so holding off on that. But that being said, let's go ahead and move on to the Janky's experimental scale. So, how do I rate this game? As you recall, there are 5 possible rankings: smashing success, promising results, more trials needed, revisions required, and acid kid. Now, like I said, I still haven't played a ton of this game, so I'm going to go ahead and give it a promising results, which is a perfectly respectable scale, grade thing. I don't know what to call them. Ranks, scale ranks, I guess. Anyway, it's a really awesome game. It is out on Steam now, and, you know, if you have a couple bucks to spare, I would suggest checking it out. I really enjoyed it, or have been enjoying it, I should say, but I hope you guys liked it. If you disagree, of course, you can leave it in the comments down below, but other than that, I'm going to consider this experiment concluded. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Janky's Lab. If you did, you can leave those likes down below, comments positive or negative. Feel free to leave those below as well. But more than anything, I hope you have a lovely day, evening, or whenever you happen to be watching. Thank you so much for watching, and until the next time, This is Janky Shenanigans, signing out.